You know what I hate? Sausage Party. I absolutely despise Sausage Party. It's not even specifically the film story or the characters I hate, it's the way in which one product has somehow managed to combine every single trope of lazy comedic writing that I can't stand. Sausage Party works as a 2-minute trailer that starts out looking like the next DreamWorks or Pixar film, but then subverts your expectations by taking a dark twist. Sausage Party does not work as a 1.5 hour long movie that contains the same comedic caliber as the YouTube animation Racist Mario. You know, the video that sounds like it should be a Newgrounds cartoon from 2007, but was actually released in 2014. Thanks, internet. It's the kind of lowest brow comedic schlock that relies on nothing more than, hey guys, Mario just said fuck. Oh look, reference. It's funny because you know what it is. Rape and paedophilia jokes. And when all else fails, just make them scream loudly and a million immature cunts will shit their pants with laughter. These two are practically the same thing, except one I only had to endure for 2 minutes, and the other I had to endure for 1.5 hours. There are no jokes here. None of these are jokes. And of course, let me point out that what makes you laugh is obviously a separate thing from what counts as a joke. Like, I'll laugh at things that barely pass for jokes, but I still feel like I could argue as to why this holds far more comedic value than this.
You motherfuckers invite non-Nintendo characters onto my track?
In fact, fuck it, I'll do it right now. Comedy is about subverting your expectations, so when the heavy comedy lifts his leg to walk down the stairs only to violently fall, you are caught off guard and it makes you laugh. We can also note that the exaggerated fall and the fact that it's an animation helps this work as a piece of slapstick humour. In Racist Mario, sure, you can argue that you wouldn't expect a family-friendly character like Mario to swear, so it goes against your expectations, except there's literally nothing else to this joke aside from the fact that he swears. And I do think a character swearing unexpectedly can be funny, but you need to either pace it well or have it be the payoff to a build-up.
Let's go in and say hello.
But I don't know what it is. Just pull that thing there. I don't know. Fiddle about with it. Fuck off!
In addition, don't plaster your entire video with swearing since you'll only weaken the impact it has. Keep it rare and sweet, like a good steak. I've never actually eaten a steak. Also, this is fucking awful. Why is seeing someone get brutally disfigured now comedy? Things like Tom and Jerry work because they find the perfect balance of realism and exaggeration. You can feel every hit that Tom receives, but it never takes it to a gruesome, uncomfortable level. Therefore, we can laugh at it as slapstick since we know none of the characters are ever actually in danger. But the less cartoony and realistic you get, the less funny your slapstick will be. And so the film has to resort to the Fred technique of screaming in order to guarantee a cheap laugh. But let's return to Sausage Party. The film pisses me off within a minute of starting by having the literal first spoken word of the movie being shit. Thanks, Seth Rogen. A dumb song filled with obvious puns and swearing plays through as we then launch into a conversation about sex.
We're all gonna be 5 inches deep in some buns, son!
Literally, this is just a conversation about sex, except some of the words are swapped to fit the food theme. There's nothing else in this conversation that remotely suggests they're talking about hot dogs. It's just a sex chat. Like, one of the buns talks about a hot dog jackrabbiting for 15 seconds, then getting tired. Hot dogs don't do that? Okay, I get it, hot dogs don't talk and walk either, but you can't just make them into miniature people that happen to look like hot dogs. They need to act like they're living food. God, talking about this movie is weird. So we get a bunch of unnecessary swearing, sex jokes, and terrible puns until finally the main plot is put into motion. You see, weirdly this film has some sort of religion theme going on. Like, the food all believe that once they are picked to be bought, they enter a place known as the Great Beyond. Initially, Seth Rogen is excited since he's been picked to go there. However, a honey mustard character, who was returned to the store and has witnessed the truth, tries to warn everyone and then commits suicide. Then an accident with a trolley separates a few of our main characters from the rest, and Seth Rogen decides he wants to try and figure out the truth that the honey mustard was talking about. Unfortunately, this character leads to some of the most unnecessary and repetitive swearing the film has to offer.
So cum covered we can't fucking see!
Also, this line right here,
I mean, what is he, honey? Is he mustard? It's like, make up your mind or just kill yourself.
is the worst piece of dialogue ever. Like, someone actually wrote that. Very occasionally, this movie will do something that's actually funny or creative. Like the scene when the bag of flour explodes and everything looks like a war scene. That's a good visual joke. Or when the movie shows self-awareness about the characters.
My little glove! It's slipping off!
But the other 90% of the time, it's just swearing, reference, sex, rape, gore, screaming. It's a shame because honestly, the animation and direction can be really imaginative sometimes. Admittedly, it still sort of looks outdated and cheap, though I think we know who's to blame for that. But it's full of quite a few interesting scene transitions and a good amount of personality. But then you have dialogue like,
We touched TIPs. We touched tips. Just the tips. Oh, we touched our tips.
It's as if everything in this movie started out as a terrible pun. There's a character who's some kind of flatbread, a lavash I believe it's called, and he wants to go to the great beyond so that he can get 77 bottles of virgin olive oil. You could just rearrange that a bit and it turns into a shitty pun. Why was the lavash excited to get to heaven? So that he could have 77 virgin olive oil. It's all so dumb and obvious. Look, it's a bagel. Let's make it Jewish. Look, it's a taco. Let's make it a Mexican lesbian. Another thing I don't get is, what exactly are the rules of this universe? There's a scene in which a bunch of characters smoke weed out of a kazoo, and that's it? They're not smoking some kind of food equivalent to weed, they're just smoking weed? How did they manage to get hold of weed? How are they smoking it? Why not make them smoke oregano or something? At least that makes sense. Or maybe even MSG, just something food-based that would actually work in the context of the film, but it's just weed. Okay, let's hurry up and finish the film summary. So Seth heads off to try and discover the truth, whilst these guys have to fight off an evil douche out to get revenge. Michael Cera escapes from the house of Camille Toe and runs until he comes across a druggie buying bath salts. He follows the druggie in hopes of getting back to the supermarket, but instead winds up at the druggie's house where they discover bath salts allow the humans to see the living food. I guess that's just how that works. Meanwhile, Seth Rogen tries to prove to everyone that the humans are evil, but instead pisses everyone off, including his girlfriend. A new day at the supermarket begins and Michael Cera returns to find Seth Rogen and tells him they've discovered the humans can be killed. Because of this, they then hit all the humans with bath salt-soaked toothpicks so that they will see the food for what it really is. When the humans begin attacking the food, the entire supermarket team up and take them all down. To be honest, these action scenes are actually really fun to watch. They're directed well and have some really great visuals, however the piss-poor dialogue and reliance on crude humour still lets them down somewhat.
Get this thing going any faster! Suck my pink cock.
Then the film decides that what everyone wants to see is a food orgy. Yep. No, this is excellent. Then the film ends by breaking the fourth wall a bunch, because I guess that's funny.
Edward Norton? What kind of parent gives their kid a stupid cunt name like that?
I don't get this. Is Edward Norton really that weird of a name? In a world in which someone is literally called Engelbert Humperdinck, can anyone really poke fun at the name Edward Norton? Oh, finally. It's over. You see, if I'm being completely honest, I don't actually hate Sausage Party. The film clearly has its merits, although few and far between. What I hate is what Sausage Party represents, the seeming culmination of all lowest forms of comedy. From the moment I saw the trailers online, I was immediately disinterested and bored with the whole concept, and the fact that this movie even became so notorious to me was simply down to nearly every one of my friends at the time absolutely loving it. So if you enjoy this movie and it makes you laugh, then that's absolutely fine. What makes you laugh is completely subjective. But I'm done here. I can put Sausage Party to rest and move on to the next film. Oh, fuck.